Severely undervalued cryptos to buy before it's too late. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. And within this past week, we've had a major pump by Bitcoin. Obvious rejection here around 123 being the all-time high. We may see a little bit more consolidation before the push upwards, but everything is looking very nice. This one wick off shows that we may have a little bit more of a retracement, which is fine, because our volume is not that high. We have that major push with these three bars right here, which pushes the price of Bitcoin up. Excuse me. And we are currently getting a little rejection, so we are going to see what happens with Bitcoin to see what the rest of the market does. The coins that I highly recommend are XRP, XCN, and a couple others, but we'll go over some of the bigger ones today. Dollar cost average XRP. XRP is currently at $3. It was originally 50 cents just a few months ago, I guess the beginning of or the end of last year. So if you missed that major pump, there's still more to come. And I believe we may have this push up to around 450 of 5 before getting some rejection, testing the previous high, which is where we have price discovery. So beyond 350, the sky's really the limit. We don't really know what could be happening past then. But XRP, if you have not been dollar cost averaging, definitely any money you're making, try and toss a little bit at XRP because it's got many, many benefits. If you've seen my other videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. XLM, and for Kimberly, we are going to be covering that one you requested, ALCH or something. But Stellar looking very nice, broke out of that downward wedge, is trying to get a close above this previous high. We are getting a little rejection, but the CM Guppy is coming upwards, so we can essentially start building our upward trend line from here. This isn't the major support, it's just something to have an eye reference for. If we can hold above that, that would be nice to start seeing it push upwards from this angle. But XLM in partner with XRP, both very, very good coins to be stacking. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of TA as we are waiting for some major movement, but Cookie DAO is one that I've been recommending. We had our entry right breaking over this downward trend line, not a huge position, so even the pullback wasn't anything to be worried about. We are right back at our entry point, which we most likely will get a little bit of a pullback before testing this 200 EMA yet again. So with that touch breaking over that 200 EMA, we could see something similar to this, where we see it hold as support finally before ultimately pushing up. But we broke a downward trend line, so this thing has the potential to move very fast once we get over that 200 EMA. It's only 13 cents now. Its all-time high is up here, at least on this chart, at 83 cents. Pretty good ROI for just a few bucks tossed at it. XYO. Everybody who's holding XYO is just waiting for this downward trend line to be broken, and when that is broken, we can start seeing the movement upwards. It does not matter that it is moving downwards and in consolidation. It is waiting to weaken out this downward trend line before crossing it and then using it as support in between there and the 200 EMA. Once we get over this 0.01 cents, XYO has the potential to start moving upward very quickly, as we have seen in the past. And zooming further out, you can see there's a major cup and handle that is playing out once we break out over the 0.025. It's got a long way to go to hit the top, and will most likely go well beyond the top. So if you're not entering in at less than a penny, I've explained it many times, but anywhere within this area is not a bad entry point. Ideally, getting over this downward trend line is what we are waiting for if you have not entered yet. Similar with XYO, DNT in consolidation, trying to hold a bottom, not doing the best job. The 200 EMA is starting to come downwards, causing a little pressure on this. But if we can also break this downward trend line, we'd be working within this wedge to try and get over that 200 EMA around 3 cents before ultimately pushing up. And DNT, just like the others in the past, when it pushed up over the 200 EMA, we had that retracement, major decrease in price, but pushed back up over the 200 EMA and then launched off to around 20 cents. Pretty astronomical gains from a 2 cent entry. There is a lot of potential with DNT. Another one I was looking at is perpetual protocol, looking better and better. Once we get over that 200 EMA, that's where you're looking for your entry. If you have not entered, just wait for it to get over there and hold. And then once it starts moving upwards a little bit, have your entry. And this as well has a long way to go to get to the top from 29 cents. Busting out these like last 5. Compound. You've had months to get into compound. I don't need to explain it to you. If you haven't entered, you're probably not entering. But now is a major opportunity at $43, all-time high of nearly 1,000. Not much to say about that besides getting over the 200 EMA as well. Downward trend line. Getting over both of those is ideally where you want to enter. You could be entering in at this bottom, maybe deal with that little bit of down draw before it gets pushed back up and test this 200 EMA yet again. And we see previously getting over the 200 EMA, major push, 200 EMA push, 200 EMA push. So getting over that 200 EMA would be pushing it towards this downward trend line. And if that can be broken, then we would need to see that test as support before pushing back up to $61 and beyond for compound. Moving into QNT. Long played out play, man. It's over the 200 EMA finally. It's at 103. Got that resistance like we expected at the downward trend line. Testing on the 200 EMA as expected. Volume is more or less decreasing with the sell-off, meaning we are losing a little bit of the sellers even with these wicking out, but we could be testing this downward trend line yet again. Once it is broken, we have a lot of upside for QNT. Keeping in mind we need to use this downward trend line as support, and we have quite a bit of resistance right here around 124. BNT, oof. Exactly what I said. Push down, touch this trend line, pushed up over the 200 EMA. It's going to be testing this downward trend line, if not consolidating to test it. And once that's broken, it's got a long way to go to hit the top. $20 is the all-time high, currently at 70 cents. We had our original entry at 35 cents, so no fear on that one. But if you have not entered BNT, anywhere outside that downward wedge is a good bet. LCX still trying to beat up that 200 EMA when it can get over and the downward trend line. That's your entry opportunity for a potential 50% increase in profit. LCX is building more support, building higher lows. Everything's looking a little bit healthier for LCX right here around the 14 to 15 cent mark. So breaking that downward trend line is ideally what we're looking for. ALCX, so this is what Kimberly was asking about, is $8.90. The Fibonacci retracement from this is more or less, I guess we had that push up towards the 0.5, and then the next one we would be looking at is this Fibonacci retracement, and you would expect to push to potentially 21 if it crosses over that 200 EMA. That's a possibility, but what makes me think this may not be a possibility is we would think that this would be roughly the next resistance at 134. Beyond that, we could see the next resistance being all the way up here or even here at almost 200, 400. But what makes it less reliable is that this started way up here. And what is that? What is that? $100,000, huh? Yeah, I don't think we're going to be hitting $100,000 for Alchemix. Beyond that is $2,000 from a $9 investment. This thing could be dead, in my opinion. It's just decreased $100,000 out of nowhere. That was a money grab, and then major reduction and no pump afterwards. It's not the best to be looking at. However, keep in mind the volume is picking up, so we are kind of starting a bottom. I don't think we're going to be hitting 100,000 anytime soon for this coin. Or, 49 is a possibility. Maybe if we get the push to 135, but all that seems doubtable with that major decrease in price. Personally, I don't think that's a good one. If you are in it, maybe hold on to it if you don't want to sell at a major loss. but I'm not entering that personally. H bar, similar to this XLM, downward trend line needs to be broken, and then we have a lot of upward momentum for H bar, same with XLM. And last one I'm bringing in CTSI, still holding support on this black upward trend line, weaseling in between this 200 EMA. If we can hold above that 200 EMA and continue a slow trickle upwards, that's where you're going to be looking for increasing your size, currently at 7 cents, but also has a very nice all-time high. Volume picking up, more or less for this bottoming out method. Trend line is mainly what we want to be holding. We broke this downward trend line, so we can expect more upward momentum for CTSI in the near future. That's it for this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't. References in the description below. And if you want to tip me, there's also those descriptions in the description below. Good luck. Have fun with it. I'll work on XCN in a little bit.